Hello.
Hello. How's everybody today?
Good. How are
Doing
you?
pretty good.
Doing good. How's the puppy?
It's doing pretty well.
You got a haircut.
You got another haircut.
Say hi, Theo. Call me your buddy. You're so big now.
Yeah, he's getting pretty big too. He's like over 20 pounds. But he's still little. Come here.
What's he doing?
Oh my God.
You want some value?
Come here.
Oh, is this over?
There he is.
Theo, what are you doing? Oh my god. So funny.
How's everything with the potty stuff going? And
Pretty good, but yesterday we had an accident. So I don't know if he's still like, oh, I don't know. He didn't even say anything. He just came by us and then just like looked and just pissed on the floor. And we're like, oh man, what the heck? You know?
He doesn't do that often.
He doesn't do it often. Like I think pretty much probably was the last time we talked to. He had another accident too, but like he's been pretty good overall. You know?
when he peed, was it yellow or clear?
I think it was yellow, because when I wiped it up, it was yellow.
Yeah, but it seemed like it was
It's hard
a
to
lot.
tell on the floor.
Yeah, it was hard to tell on the floor, but I mean, yeah, when you wiped it up, it was yellow. But I mean, it's hard to say how it wasn't concentrated for sure. It might be. It seems like he is drinking a lot more water now. I don't know. We're taking him for like walks, but then it's like hot, so then he's thirsty. You know.
When was his last potty break before that accident?
What time was that at? That was at like, hold on, what was yesterday? Thursday? You had class. It was like 1. Was that before or after we fed him?
I think it was after.
Oh, didn't we take him out though? I thought we took him out.
I really don't remember yet.
So the first thing I do whenever there's a potty mistake, just think back to when was the last outing. Because like let's say you took him out at 9 and he's on a 2-hour schedule and that happens like at 10:45 or something. It was right just before his potty break.
Yeah.
Or you know people forget and then they're like, oh yeah, it was like 30 minutes past his scheduled time.
Yeah.
So yeah, anytime he has a potty mistake, always think, one, I always look at the color. Is it clear, light yellow, or dark? And then I go, when was his last outing? Or, maybe he has a potty mistake and you took him out 30 minutes earlier, but afterwards he drank a ton of water.
Yeah, that might have been that. Because I guess I don't know, maybe we're like used to him drinking all his water with the meal, but maybe he didn't drink all of it this time or something, then came back and drank it. Or
yeah, stuff like that's why after they're done with their food or after the 5-minute time limit, I always remove everything.
Yeah.
Because we how do you say, like, we get comfortable and we're not as vigilant as we're supposed to be when it comes to potty training, and it's just normal. But whenever a puppy has a mistake, I always think back to when's the last time the puppy was out, the color, did he drink a lot of water? When, let's say, if it was just a few minutes ago and he drank a ton of water and then he ended up peeing, because then it helps you be more aware the next time. And then that'll help you decline any potty mistakes. So, but nothing out the ordinary. I mean, I get clients who are like, man, the puppy was great for weeks, and then it just like all of a sudden started peeing. I'm like, yeah, I mean it's potty training. He's not meant to like go outside and pee somewhere. He's meant to be outside where he can pee anywhere. So nothing out the ordinary. How's he doing with the behavior stuff, chewing and stuff like that?
Oh, much better, it seems, right? Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really mess with anything, to be honest. We haven't really needed to use the pet corrector.
Okay.
The only time he still just gets his zoomies, that's when he gets like where he'll kind of like gnaw and stuff, but otherwise he's like doesn't really nip or anything like that.
Sure. The zoomies, how big is he supposed to get?
About 40 to 50 pounds, we think.
Okay. So one thing I want you to keep in mind about the zoomies is, you know, might be cute now,
Mm-hmm.
but I've had people lose TVs to Zoomies.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they get bigger, you know, then you got a German Shepherd, you got a Mastiff running around and all that stuff, a Great Dane. So my whole thing is, I understand, like, you know, every puppy has the witching hour, as people call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell them, like, hey, if you allow it, like, I don't care. At the end of the day, it's your dog. But just think ahead of time that, you know, obviously if you have a dog that's like maybe a teacup Yorkie that's not going to get bigger than 10 to 15 pounds, like, who really cares?
Yeah.
But definitely the larger guys, unfortunately, they get more rules than the other dogs.
Yeah.
Is thinking ahead, if that's something you want to stop, I would start addressing that now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's nothing good or bad. Like, he's not going to be spiteful about it. Like, oh, like, you know, you're not letting me run around and have fun, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's more so the human feeling guilty about it, or they like it because it looks cute when they're smaller.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. When it comes to the Zoomies, you could try the pet corrector to see if it disrupts him.
Mm-hmm.
And you would want to start it the moment you see it about to happen. So if he does that, like, little,
Yeah. Like it's like a
initial
thing,
jump,
like it's the stance. Yep.
yeah, right. That's when you want to do it. You don't wait for him to already start zooming. Okay. Now, if he's already started zooming, then you just come in because that's where he's at. But ideally, if you know 5 o'clock, that's his time.
Like
I already
8.
have my correctional tool. You know, 8. Yep.
Yeah.
I have that correctional tool ready, and I'm, you know, watching him. And the moment I see that quick little jump, there. Okay. Because then he thinks I can't even think about zooming around,
Mm-hmm.
you know, without being corrected, and then it'll make your life a lot easier. It can always be stopped. Like, if you let him zoom around and then all of a sudden he's like too big, you can stop it then. But it may not be as easy, and you might find yourself using harsher corrections because he's done it for so long.
Yeah.
Okay. Or if you just let him do it, I don't care. Like, you know, I'm pretty, like, I understand people. Everybody's got their own rules and stuff, you know. But yeah, nothing out the ordinary there.
Cool.
Okay. Anything else?
We started using a slow feeder. I don't know if we had started that last time we talked to you, but
No, I don't believe so.
yeah, we put him on signature.
Okay. How's he doing now?
He did okay. I mean, we pretty much like used one transition meal and then just pretty much did it because we ran out of food. That's why we got the new one. But we got the one that's like it's like mixed proteins in there.
Okay.
He's been doing okay with it. Like, no runs, doesn't seem like he has any problems with it. And the slow feeder has been a lot better because he finishes everything, but he doesn't eat it so fast. So then he's like burping and stuff like that, hiccuping and all that.
Yeah. Slow feeders are fine. Whether or not he outgrows it, every dog's different.
Mm-hmm.
Some, as they, like, my pit used to be a fast eater, and then she'd puke it all up.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had to either do portions or I would put a tennis ball, and so she'd have to eat around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, every now and then she might eat too much too quickly, where she'll kind of heave, you know, and she'll just re-eat it. But yeah, so if you try, you know, I wouldn't worry so much about transitioning. If it helps him, like, he may outgrow it, he may not. It's not really a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's really biting at his tail today. I don't know why. He just got a haircut though. Maybe is he itchy or something?
There might be some irritation from if they use a machine or something on them.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the seasons are changing, so I always keep an eye out for allergies, any redness under the armpits, or under the belly.
And then, I mean, I guess I just assumed that it was okay, but he got his shots last week, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like one of the spots where he got it, there's like
a lump,
or something.
Yeah, I think my pit got one of those. They're in a shot, and it went away.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to be really bothering him. But I was just petting him, and I noticed it yesterday.
Yeah, I keep an eye on it, and if anything, I always just give the vet a call and say, hey, I took him in, he got a shot. There's been a lump for a week or so.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, you know, if it's a concern. But I've seen that with my pit, and I'm sure I've come across it. But I've not trained puppies, in a couple of years because I had another trainer do that.
Yeah.
But now that I'm doing puppies, like, I'm like, oh yeah, like got to remember all my
Coming
stuff.
back. It's coming back.
So, okay. Yeah. So just keep an eye on it. As long as his behavior doesn't look lethargic, he should be okay.
Nah, he's fine. He's definitely very energetic still.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't think so. You have anything?
No, he still like bites at his.
Oh, he still bites at the leash, but we brought one of the pet correctors yesterday. We're like, oh, we need to bring it outside, and then I sprayed it, and it went. It just stopped.
Sure. So when he bites it, what you can do is did I tell you about how we fixed the leash stuff?
Yeah. So we stopped using harness. He walks significantly better, honestly. Okay. The only time I have the harness on him is like in the car because I have one of those like seatbelt things in the back.
Yeah, that's fine.
So like if we get in a bender, it doesn't pull on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, like because there's harnesses made specifically for riding in the car, and there's some that just you can kind of makeshift clip the leash, move it around the head, and clip it to him. Perfectly fine for safety reasons. I really just care about walking reasons is where it's a problem.
Yeah, he's a lot better, but then it's like sometimes, I don't know, I feel like it seems like he bites more when he doesn't want to walk, and then you start to like pull him, and then he'll like grab the leash maybe so you don't pull him, and then he'll like take off kind of with it,
Oh, yeah. He's just wanting to do his own thing, really. So what I do is, I just walk, I have my leash, I might shorten it a bit so where it's not tight, but it's not completely slack either. And when he goes to bite it, because I have it shorter, if I just pull straight up, it'll lift the head up and his body weight will pull down on his jaw, and I'll just keep walking. And eventually, like, it's either you're pulling at the leash and you're having to balance yourself on a couple of legs, or you're just walking with me.
Yeah.
So then it ends up, like, how do you say, deterring him, because then he's like, okay, well, if I bite the leash, this happens and I don't like it. You can do the pet corrector as well.
Yeah.
If that works. But if I have nothing, I just shorten it and I pull up and I just keep moving to the point where I kind of lift his front paws up, so it's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And eventually they let go, then I relax and we walk, they'll try again and repeat. And after a couple of days, they typically give it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you tug with him, trying to like, or like some people will grab the mouth, or they'll do the pressure points here. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, to grab stuff out of his mouth.
Yeah, so like you could technically do the same thing with the leash. I find it to be ineffective. It's good for getting him to release something, but the problem is he'd release the leash, and then the moment you let go, he's going to bite it again, right? But if I walk and I pull up just enough for his front paws come off the ground, and it's not going to choke him or anything, and it makes it uncomfortable for him and his jaw because of his body weight, he'll just start to naturally let go, and then he'll, like, without hesitation, I just keep moving. And then, all right, well, this guy's unfazed, and this happened, so I'm just going to cut it out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, pet corrector you could try as well to see if it'll deter him. If it's rewarding enough for him to ignore it, he'll keep doing it. So then I fall to that.
Yeah, no, it'd probably just be easier to do the leash thing. Then that way you don't have to walk around with the pet corrector and all that.
Yeah, you have to have a little utility belt.
Yeah.
There's also, for pups under 6 months, I think I may have spoken about it, the gentle leader.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you picked up one yet, or?
We haven't, but the vet also recommended that too, and I was like, oh, would you look at that? He said the exact same thing that you did. It's like gentle leader, flat collar, and then like harness or whatever,
Right.
He wasn't like, I don't know, he wasn't indifferent about it. He was just saying that he prefers that to a collar, and then the gentle leader is even better than that. So to look into it, but I don't know. There you go. See.
What?
I don't know. It looks like a muzzle.
Oh yeah, no, it's not a muzzle. But some people do have that impression,
We could try.
It's so funny, just people and the self-consciousness in society about, like, people are going to think about their dog, and I think
yeah. Like, people are going to think he's aggressive because he has it around his mouth.
No. it gives you the most control. And, you know, for puppies under 6 months or even older, like, you know, adult dogs, like I tell people, if you're not going to push your dog to like the level that like I train to, I tell them at least just use a gentle leader. Because let's say their dog is reactive, but they don't want to use like aversives like prong or e-collar. Then I'll tell them, well, if you use a gentle leader, you'll have immediate control. You just won't be able to stop the behavior. Like you won't be able to teach the lesson of don't do that again. But you have way more control than anything else. For puppies, it's really helpful, like especially if they pick up like crap off the ground a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like cigarette butts and things like that, that the moment you pull that leash, you're right away just removing his mouth from whatever that object is, as opposed to with the flat collar, he can still stretch his neck out and pick stuff off the ground. And then, of course, the harness is even worse.
Oh, it's terrible. That's why, like someone actually, I saw another dog today, and they like started playing or whatever, and they got caught or they like got tangled. He was like, yeah, it's a little bit better with the harness. I'm like, actually, I stopped. All right, yeah. I was like, actually, yeah, I stopped using a harness because it's not good. He's gonna keep pulling. So have fun with that. Have a good day. Yeah, dude, he made me mad.
You know, everybody's got their opinions, right?
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get the gentle leader. Do you have a preference on what kind, or just Amazon, or?
Yeah, I do prefer the gentle leader because it comes, if I remember correctly, it comes with a DVD. If you guys still have DVD players.
Yeah, I have
Otherwise, if you look online how to like condition a dog to like a gentle leader, it's pretty simple. It's like, you know, using food and getting them comfortable with it. If you decide to like take the time to do that, I just smack it on them, put it on, and go for a walk, and then they give it up.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, it's on Amazon, the one that
it should be. Let me see here.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a few different kinds here. This one's expensive. This one's only got like, 3.5 stars.
They usually run like 20, 25 bucks.
Okay. So it's not that expensive then. There was one for 18 and it had pretty good reviews. But it doesn't have a... I don't see anyone with a DVD. I literally put in like gentle leader with DVD, and I don't see anything.
This is interesting. I could have... oh, here's one. Yeah, 25 bucks. I'm going to send that link over. Let me see.
Cool. All right, let me take a look here. In the chat?
Yeah, I'll send in the chat, but then I can email it to you as well.
That works.
Now, this one's a size small. So typically what I recommend is that you get the size he's going to grow into. The only thing is because it goes around the muzzle, and then you have that extra, there's like a little bit of length with a little ring at the end that you clip your leash to. So you can have a longer one because he's not going to have such a large snout. And this way you're not buying 2 to 3 of them. You just get the one he needs, and he'll look a little silly in the beginning, but he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think the one sent was a link for a small, but that it says right on a gentle leader, and that packaging is the one. That unless they change things, comes to the DVD. I believe they sell them at PetSmart, possibly Petco.
And I charge this probably double.
Yeah, probably. And I know on Amazon, everybody's making knockoffs of things now, especially for dog stuff. So I always tell people, you know, because I think there's that one, and then there's like a Halti, which is almost just as good, but there's no DVD, and then there's like a bunch of other brands.
Okay.
So
Halti.
Wait, what neighborhood are you guys in?
Shooterville.
Oh, okay. I thought you guys were in Lakeview for some reason.
Yeah, Shooterville. There's Chrysler's or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have it at Chrysler's.
Yeah, but also they would charge probably $50 for it. So
it probably looked cuter though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Little puppies on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean that one that you sent has some kind of design on it. So we'll take a look. I'll get it today.
Yeah. But yeah, it shouldn't be more than like $25 from what I remember. And it's been like that since pre-Amazon. So
yeah.
Anything else?
No, overall he's getting better and better, I think.
Yeah, a lot better with like the just not messing with every single thing in the house.
But I guess he won't let his face get groomed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's, I mean, that's normal because again, he's not meant to be groomed. You know, that's something. And was that his first grooming?
Second.
Yeah, it could take more before he gets comfortable enough with it. And like when dogs become defensive or aggressive at the groomer, like I tell people, like I take it with a grain of salt because they're not meant to have scissors and crap all in their face.
Yeah.
So I just keep an eye on it, see if it gets better. If you want to help him or help your groomer have an easier time, what you would do is, you can get some like fake scissors or like maybe some that are like dull or something, and just like fake trim and like touch a snout and give him a treat, touch a snout, fake trim, snap, treat. So eventually you condition them to like, good things happen, and it can potentially transfer over to the groomer. If it doesn't, I'm not worried about it. I'd be more concerned about, if he starts to get more defensive or stressed out because of the grooming.
Yeah.
But that's typical stuff. He's a pup still. So.
Everything else he was fine. He's shaved except his head.
Yeah.
I mean, he still looks cute. Hey Theo, you taking a nap? We're gonna work right now.
Yeah, it's nap time, I guess. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think, I don't know, there was nothing like, off the top of my head, like burning stuff that we needed to mention. We did upgrade the crate to the 36-inch one that we originally bought.
Okay.
He's been totally fine in it. He was really, really, really bad the other day. We went to Costco, and I don't know, he was like yelping so loud, and then usually he stops, but then when we came back, like we got off the elevator and he was yelping like as we got off the elevator. So I don't know if he stopped or he continued doing it, or for like an hour or two that he was doing it.
Sure.
But yeah, I was just like, oh, that's not good. And then I mean, it's still like say Angie will go upstairs with the laundry in because we don't have a laundry thing in our unit. So she'll go up there and I'll still be with him, and he just like whines and is by the door and scratching at the door, and it's like, oh boy,
Yeah.
The separation anxiety is like so bad. That's probably the biggest thing, I think.
Did I send you the bunker videos?
I don't think so.
All right, let me put that in my notes here. So the kennel thing is he has to learn to just be independent and be in the kennel calmly. Have you done any kenneling? Because I think we talked about it maybe the first or second class, because about Angie's going to go to school or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you been?
A few times, but not always.
Okay. So I would create a rule consistent structure. Okay. Because if you try to, what typically happens is people will touch on it sporadically, and then it's like, crap, I need it to work now, like the week before, and then they try to drill it. I was like school, right? Like you got projects due, and then you're like, oh, I'll do it later.
Yeah.
And then next they have to leave, and then it's a problem, right? And whether you're there or not, I wouldn't care. I would just still kennel him and force that disconnect.
Yeah.
And if he barks in the kennel, you could potentially use the pet corrector. I'm gonna gamble and say it's probably not gonna work because either the stress levels are too high, or he really just dislikes staying in the kennel. So
I don't think he dislikes it because he goes in there on occasion by himself, to like lay down or something, and like at night, he napped in there before, and then like at nighttime he's totally cool with it. Like
but it's dislike as in on when it's on your terms.
Yeah.
On his terms, because he can go in and out on a whim, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? But as soon as you remove that right of going in and out at his leisure, it becomes an issue. So then, I kennel him And if you try the pet corrector, see if it works. If it doesn't work, we have to escalate. And that's when we move to physical aversives. Okay. So I think I've talked about if Theo did something that another dog disagreed with, how would they correct them?
Yeah, jump on them and growl, bite, snap, something.
Correct, right? They get physical. And people have a hard time with this because it's a puppy and they think that it would be abuse, or they think that they're going to screw their puppy up. And I go, no, you actually screw your puppy up by not giving them that sort of discipline. And I've made a playlist, and I'm going to make a video, and I'll send you this link as well. I made a playlist of mother dogs correcting their puppies. And one of them, it's a golden retriever, which I love because I have two. I have one with the Cane Corso and then one with the golden retriever. So if I send somebody a Cane Corso video, they're going to think, oh, it's because it's a Cane Corso. It's because it's a mean dog. Like, that's how they correct. I'm like, no, that's just dog. So the golden retriever helps balance out that idea that people typically have, because here's this, America's feminist dog, and it's got a little puppy, and she's like tossing him around, and it's yelping the whole time. Right? Yeah, for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, Golden yesterday who was attacking him.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't attacking.
I mean, they were playing, but it was some good play.
Yeah, it's physical, right?
Yeah.
So, but she's disciplining the puppy, and at the end of the video, the puppy finally calms down and submits, and then she walks away. So, because people get deterred when they hear their puppy yelp, and they go, if you see a mother dog bite a puppy, they yelp, they run away, and then they get over it, So when we do aversives and we escalate to physical aversives, don't worry if Theo yelps, okay? And don't worry about trying to avoid a correction that makes him yelp, because then people try to soften up things. Okay, you're making your job harder, and you're actually reinforcing in Theo the fact that he's got control technically, because he's like you don't mean it. Like if I yelp, you'll lay off, right? And whereas a mother dog would keep beating his little butt until finally he gives up and submits. So the bonker is simply a rolled up towel, and I think I went over this in the wrinkles video. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, he emailed me to check up on Wrinkles because he comes to my daycare. And he's like, man, the bonker has been doing great. He's like, we've been using it less and less every week because it's sticking. Like, okay, if I don't want to get physically corrected, I just don't do the stuff. So the way I started is, if he's in the kennel and he starts whining, you can literally bonk the kennel with the bonker. It's not going to make him scared of the kennel. Okay, the only way you can make a dog scared of a kennel is if you make the entire time he is in the kennel a negative. And then when he gets out, the negative stops. So then he thinks, if I go in there, it's going to be torture, but as long as I don't go in there, nothing happens, right? But if it's momentary and he's in there for an hour and he barks and I bonk it, which is like a split second, and the rest of the 59 minutes and 59 seconds, it's quiet, then he's like, oh, if I don't bark, nothing happens. Okay? So I wouldn't worry about that. And then you might find, like, if you try to put him in the kennel, like, he'll push back a bit because he already doesn't like it. But then it's like, oh crap, I don't like it. I know I'm going to want to bark in there, but now there's a correction, right? So he's not going to want to go in there. I still make his ass go in there, and I lock it, and I have my bonker ready. And if he decides to voice his opinion, I correct him, and then we go on with our lives. Okay. So, and then if that doesn't work, then we start thinking about other aversives. The hardest part is when you're gone. Okay. So the longer you delay correcting them in the kennel while you're there, the harder it's going to be to correct them when you're gone. And then that's when things like bark collar come into play, which I use bark collars all the time. There's like, it's no big deal, but I know for the client, it's harder for them to go to those tools. Right. And I actually just did a video and I posted up on my YouTube channel. We have a dog that just started coming to our daycare who's for the most part blind. and has really bad kennel anxiety. And I started off with the clip of him, and he's licking and salivating and biting at the kennel and whining and completely under stress. And then it goes into the video where I talk about, you know, the causes and all that stuff. And then I correct him with a prong collar, and you hear him yelp, you know, and then he settles down, but he's still anxious. And then I correct him one more time. So in the span of like a 10-minute video, I do 2 corrections, and you see him settle. And at the end of the video, you see him finally relax, not salivating, not panting, laying down calmly, because of those corrections about 20 to 30 minutes later. Okay, so that's a more severe case, but it gives you a visual of how corrections work.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't be scared of corrections.
Yes, corrections are healthy. Corrections are necessary for dogs. Otherwise, if you don't correct them, another dog will, and that dog may not be as nice as you.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any questions?
I don't think so.
Alrighty. So, did you start any of the food stuff?
Like
food training, treats?
Oh yeah. I started that from like the beginning. I don't know if you're technically supposed to, but
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He does really well overall, really well. He's like really smart. He picks up on the stuff super quickly. I taught him how to sit with like 2 treats, you know, and so he does sit down, paw, speak, and we're trying to get him to like dance a little.
Yeah, it's all fine. Okay,
yeah,
so
sometimes he gets like, when he sees it and he knows like, oh boy, it's like, you know, I can get a treat right now. Then he'll sit, lay down, speak, then give his paw and everything all at once. And he'll like, well, we're actually trying to teach him like how to like restrain himself a little bit to like stay. That's kind of hit or miss. Sometimes he'll do it, sometimes he won't, because he just gets like so excited, tries to go for it, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have you just show me what you've done, and so when food-based training is so easy, and don't think on your own time like, oh, like, are we going too far ahead? Okay. It's only food. Okay.
Yeah.
Teach as much as you want, because right now his brain is super malleable. Okay. And you're setting him up for the future, that if you ever wanted to advance on things, even like trick training, like go get me a beer, you've already started that thinking process. So I liken it to like with humans, if you teach a child more than one language before, I think the age of 9 or 12, it's much easier for them to learn the language later on in life.
Yeah.
But if you do it afterwards, it's much harder. Right. And I see, in my opinion, I see the same thing with dogs, is when I see people start with food and simple, even though it's simple, but they start with training immediately once they get them at 2 months or whatever, they're much more receptive to training later on. And it doesn't mean that they can't be trained later on. It just means like you'll see the slower thinking process in a dog that wasn't food-based trained as a puppy. Okay. So feel free to teach anything you want using food. You're not going to screw up your dog psychologically, emotionally, or anything like that. Okay.
Right.
You're not going to get so advanced that I can't help you. Okay. So let's go ahead and you can shift your camera, whatever you need to do. Get some treats.
We'll go this way.
And
That's for salmon. Is that okay?
yeah. Let's see what Theo can do here.
Theo.
That's a huge little bed there, Theo.
Yeah, no, we got
it was for us.
It was for us. It's a beanbag chair, but I think he started liking it because when he was a little bit smaller than he is now, that was the only thing he was able to like actually jump on.
Sure.
And he's like, all right, and the vent is right up above it, so I think it blows cold air, and I think he likes that.
Prime real estate right there.
Yeah. Come here, bud.
Might as well get it embroidered with Theo.
Here. Does he see the food? He smells it.
So, what do you want to go with? Hey, sit.
Yeah, anything just show me what you've done, like run him through his little routine.
All right, so there's that. Sit. Nope. Bob. Good boy.
That's good. That's a tasty
Yeah.
salmon.
You like salmon. All right. All right. Speak. Speak. Nope. Speak. Theo. Speak. Speak. A little bit, but more. Speak. There we go. And then,
Lay down.
all right, here, ready? Down. There you go. And what else do we do?
I mean, we'd try to go up
Yeah, I would try to go up.
or the stay. That's like kind of hit or miss though.
Yeah, right here. Up. Up. Good boy.
And then the stay.
And then here. Ready? Come here. Can you still see me on camera?
Yeah.
All right, ready? Sit. Stay. Nope. Stay. All right. That's pretty much what we got.
Well, then my job is over. You guys are experts. That was good.
Right?
That was good. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a bit of structure to this, and I'm going to show you how to advance the training, okay?
Yeah.
Real quick, when you taught him how to sit, how did you teach it?
I put the treat up to his nose and then kind of like
Sit.
pulled it so that his head would go back, and he like put himself in a sit position.
Sit.
And then when he went into the sit position, I gave him the treat.
So what we're going to do is we're going to alter a couple of things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start with the sit. So go ahead and get a handful of treats here,
Okay.
and then I'll coach you through everything. And
What was that again?
I'm gonna coach you through this stuff real quick, okay?
Okay. Okay.
You watched that Wrinkles video, right? With like with the luring.
I just saw the original one where you guys were just talking.
Okay. So I'm gonna have you bring your treat down to Theo's nose,
Okay, I hear that.
and then I'm gonna have you start just making a circle shape that he follows to make a circle, just like that.
Like that?
No, sideways, so that he walks in a circle. There you go. And I'm gonna have you move your hand slower so that his nose stays on your hand as much as possible, and keep it to his snout level.
So put it maybe in between your fingers so he smells it, but all right.
There you go. Right, good. Now feed.
Not gonna tell.
Okay, repeat that 2 more times.
Yeah, just grab a small piece.
Now feed.
He's so excited. I don't think he expected to have some good treats right now.
What are you using?
Salmon.
Okay.
He loves everything though.
Now feed. Good. Now what I have you do here is do 3 figure 8s in the same style of motion that you were doing. Feed. 2 more.
Oh,
Back to his nose. Yep.
Come here. I'm gonna speak here. Are you getting tired or what?
and feed. Good. Last one. Good. And feed. Perfect. Now what you're going to do is, as you're moving him around, you can vary it between a circle or the figure eight. Is you're going to do it what Alex mentioned earlier about during that circle, you're going to randomly stop moving your hand and then lightly, not lightly, slowly pull up to lure Theo into a sitting position, but you're not going to say sit. And feed. Okay. Now, when you bring your hand up, I'm going to have you keep it still at the same level as his snout. Now go back to his nose here. Slowly up to reposition him, like that. Good. Back to his nose. Back to his nose. Yep. Slowly up. Back to his nose. And then move your hand back and feed here. So what we're trying to do is, with no words, when he's moving, you'll put him in a sit position, feed him, and keeping your hand always as close to his nose as possible, and then quickly reload and go back to his nose again, ideally before he stands up. Right, stay as closest to the nose as possible. Okay, up. So when you pull your hand up, you want to still keep it real close to his nose. Yes. And here you can twist your arm. There you go, to bring him down. Yep, slow, a little bit up. Yep, again. Now wait a second. Yep, now then just keep repeating until he sits back down again. Now feed. Or try it a couple more times once you reload the treats there.
We do the figure.
And then lure him back again. Wait a sec. Yep.
He's trying so hard.
Right, back to his nose. Yep. Slowly up.
You're doing so good. What's up?
He's impatient.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing here is actually teaching him patience. And wait a second. Feed.
Good.
Good.
You know, he's like with his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because then you're giving the positive reinforcement when he relaxes. So he's like, okay, if I sit here calmly, then I'll get it.
Correct. So
Okay.
whenever you give something, you want to think that you're rewarding the state of mind that Theo is in. Now wait. Feed.
Good boy, Theo.
And
You.
when you bring in that food, try to, how do you say, shoot it in, because you're trying to prevent Theo from actually standing up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on in a couple of things right now, and I'll explain it. We'll do one more. But you're trying to get him to keep that butt down. Otherwise, he's going to think whenever I get fed, my job is done. Feed. There. Good. Okay. So when you it took like maybe 2 minutes to finally get Theo to sit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's him being impatient. That's him being frustrated because he's trying to figure out how the hell do I get whatever's in your hand. Right? And most people go to sit. But he doesn't know what sit is quite yet. Okay. He might get a hit or miss, and I'm trying to create consistency.
Right.
So we were essentially getting him to focus more, and all that pawing and the jumping and the grabbing your hands and stuff, all that stuff was frustration. Mm-hmm. And eventually, once it clicked, the next two that you did were easier.
Yeah.
And he was also calmer. Right?
So
So that's one aspect of it. The other thing that I was having you do with the moving around in the circle and the figure eights is typically when people teach a dog to sit, they'll just hold it up in the air, and the dog gets so tired of looking up that they end up sitting down. Right? But that's not how dogs learn. Dogs learn by following their nose. So we're teaching him how to use that nose, and we're also teaching him his body mechanics. Okay. So I want you to keep in mind that whenever you have Theo sit, is if you keep it consistent in terms of his position in relation to you, that becomes what sit is. Okay. So like if you always tell him sit in front of you and he's looking at you, he could be across the room and you'll say sit and he'll come and walk all the way over and sit right in front of you. Okay. Bless you. But sit means sit no matter wherever he's at. Okay. So if I tell him sit and he's standing next to the little chair over there, he should just put his butt down. He shouldn't walk over to me.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you're luring him, what I recommend people do is to have the dog sit in different positions in relation to them. So maybe I'll have him sit on my left side and then my right side, facing me, facing away from me, facing or behind me, between my legs, facing the other direction. Like I'm teaching them that sit means a physical position and not so much his position in relation to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is that how they eventually like teach dogs how to heel?
Heel is a little bit, it's more complicated. Mm-hmm. If you want to see how I teach a dog how to heel, you can go to my YouTube. I have like 8 videos of me teaching a dog how to heel beginning to end.
Yeah, I'm like, that's pretty sweet. I don't know if we're there yet, but I was like, eventually that'd be kind of cool.
So questions so far?
Questions?
Well, no, he likes to pull on my clothes.
Oh.
All right, let's go ahead and swap handlers. We're gonna do a little bit more. We're gonna move to another step.
All right.
So what I'm gonna have you do here is go ahead and first start off with just a quick little circle and the light pull up into the sitting position like Angie did.
Hey, say hello. What are you smelling? Right here.
It might be on the floor, please.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Keep it close. Yep, good. Keep it close. There you go. And slow up. Good. Wait a second. Feed. Good. And what you can do is if you take your treat and you tuck it in right here.
In between the thumb?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, this is what I do. I have it between the thumb and my palm or my fingers like this.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's looking at it, like he can taste it, but you're not allowing him to actually get it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, keep him more, it can possibly keep him more engaged because he's actually getting something, a little something from it.
Hopefully I don't lose it.
Do you have like cheese?
We have cheese? I don't think we have cheese.
Or like deli meat?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Try that. Deli meat.
Theo, come. Okay. All right, I'll take it. On right here. Here. You got it? We're tired of the same.
Huh.
Hey.
All right, Theo, here. Oh, something different. Here we go.
And if that's awkward, you can also really quick switch to your left hand. So you would keep, there you go, wait. Good. Like right there when your hand was kind of like crooked over.
Yeah.
You could have passed to your left hand and it would have made it straight
Yeah.
to his nose.
Yeah, but I see what you mean. It seems like he does it always in front, you know?
Right. So try one more, like with him facing away from you, like you're trying to do on that last one.
What? What? There we go.
Good. And wait. Okay. Now feed.
Dang, my wife's gonna be in between
Good.
your legs.
Good. So I honestly wouldn't worry about the word right now, where he's at. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, how would you make that progressively harder?
Having distractions.
Yeah, I guess having distractions or having them do longer times, like of spinning or in between your legs or something, like do the figure eight around your legs or something.
Yeah, so like the movement stuff, I tend to keep fairly short.
Yeah.
The dog will lose interest. So I might do like a circle and a figure eight and then a feed and then go into other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for the sit itself, I wouldn't worry about distractions because that obedience that's functional despite the environment is an end of training. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right now you're teaching him the foundation, how to go into a sit, how to go into a down, what his name is, coming to you when you call them, right?
Yeah, that's still iffy.
The come?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go over that with you real quick before we finish up. So what I would do is by removing words, you help them get over frustration faster because words create energy. Theo, sit. Come on, Theo, come on, get over here. Sit, right? So then he gets even more spazzy. Whereas you just being calm and just repeating and repeating and repeating, he eventually thought through it and figured it out.
Yeah.
Made the next ones progressively easier, right? So then he starts to think, if I'm calmer and I'm still, that's what's going to get me fed. Okay. So then you start getting you're not going to make him like a dull robot, but he's going to go into like this kind of just discipline mode of like, okay, jumping all over the place isn't the answer. But you know, being focused is, okay. The next thing I would do is when you lure Theo into a sit, you want to have a second treat ready. Okay. You're going to lure him into the sit, wait a moment, and feed him, and then immediately present him with that second treat that you have there. And you're going to lure him into a standing position out of the sit, and you're going to feed him for that. Okay. Because the most common thing that I see is that people reward the sit so much that the dog gets stuck. And they'll sit and they don't want to do anything else. They don't want to move. They don't want to get up. They just sit there and they're like, give me the treat, right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to teach them that there are options for getting the treat. Putting his butt down, giving me his paw, spinning, standing on his hind legs, laying down, standing from a down or a sit position, doing circles, doing figure eights, going between my legs, going underneath chairs, going on top of chairs, and I'm feeding all this stuff. So he's just learning options, okay? Once he has options, then I go, okay, now we're gonna fine tune it and we're gonna be more specific, and I'm gonna have you sit and hold that for 10 seconds. And then we're gonna go to the next thing. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So training is to teach new behaviors or to improve upon already existing behaviors. So when you go into a training session, be open-minded, but also have like a syllabus. You know, I go in thinking, I want to teach Theo how to hold his sit for up to 15 seconds. So I start small. I do, 2 to 3 seconds, to 3 to 5 seconds, to 5 to 8 seconds, to 8 to 10 seconds, until I get to 15, right? And then I might drop that and then do a session of how would you say, random things. So it's not so focused, so that he doesn't get locked up.
Right.
Okay. So that he's thinking, okay, like I had the skill, it got advanced, but then I also still get rewarded for all these other things. Okay. And then as he masters things, I start to clump them into little groups. So if I feel a dog has mastered the sits and the down command, then I'll separate that while I'm still teaching like maybe sit pretty, which is like sitting like this, the dance, giving paw. And once he's mastered paw and he's got a really good context, then I toss that in with the other stuff, But as you're teaching things, if you try to teach a bunch of complicated things all at once, he's not going to retain anything. Sit down is simpler. Paw is simple. But other things that are built, like roll over, is more complex because he's got to lay down, then he's got to roll over, right? Sit pretty is a little complex because he's got to sit down, balance on his hind legs, and hold that for a few seconds. You see that? So those things you have to build up. So as I'm working on them, I'm not worried about, how would you say, putting him with the other stuff that I know he knows really well until he gets to that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Question so far?
No.
So for the recall, it's real simple. Go ahead and grab a few more treats here, and let's see if we can get Mr. Theo back.
Mr. Theo.
Hey. Oh.
Good.
I didn't even have to say anything.
So technically, you could have fed him for that.
No. Is it too late now?
No, you can, and then so go to feed. So whatever you'd like that Theo does, you feed it. Okay. So we're gonna think more general right now. Is that if I grab the treats and Theo comes running, I'll feed him for it, right? Because you're just reinforcing that when you come to me, good things happen, right? And then if he auto sits like he did there, I would feed him again because it's like, oh, you came to me and then you sat down politely, you know. So then you're teaching them default manners. So what you're gonna do here is go ahead and get a treat ready.
Yeah.
And present it in front of, you're gonna be standing, but place it so that your hand is down like this in front of you.
Like that?
Lower to his muzzle. Good. And you're gonna just take a couple of steps back and luring Theo towards you using that hand, right? Yep. And feed. Good. Okay, let's get a couple more. Yep. And feed. And one more. And feed. Good. So go ahead and get 3 more treats here. Now, what you're going to do for this one is you're going to say Theo. So you're going to bring your hand down. You're going to say Theo just before you start moving back.
All right. Theo.
Back to his, yep, there you go. Good. Feed. Good. And repeat.
All right. Theo.
And feed. Last one.
All right, Theo.
And feed. Good. Let's get 3 more treats.
Yeah.
And now what you're going to do, same thing, but when you come to a stop, you're going to slowly lift your hand up to place Theo in a sitting position and then feed.
Okay, so same thing. So we add the Theo back up, right?
Correct. Now slowly up and feed. Good. 2 more times.
All right, Theo.
Feed. Good. And last one.
All right, Theo.
Feed. Good.
Boy, Theo.
All right. So that's the basis for recall or come when called.
Yeah.
Okay. Most people, when they say their dog's name, it's typically to call them. So I just make the name kind of like a default, you know, come to me type of thing.
Yeah.
So we're just teaching him name recognition, and that when he hears it, that he should essentially pay attention to you. We added that movement back to create the movement towards you, that kind of behavior, that mechanic. Okay. Mm-hmm. We did that a few times, and then we advanced it to like, okay, now you come to me, then you put your butt down. Okay, without the sit word.
Yeah.
And I never say sit with the recall; it's implied. Okay, it's a default behavior. So this is how, when I was mentioning earlier, how you just advance things.
Yeah.
Okay? So I actually typically do things in reps of 5. Okay.
Okay.
So I had you do 3 because of time, but I like doing reps of 5. And if he gets 4 out of 5 well, then I can advance it a little bit and then do another 5. And advance a little bit, then do another 5, as long as he's progressively doing better. Okay. If he doesn't do better, if he gets 3 out of 5, then I repeat another 5. Okay.
what happens if he, I mean, I guess how long should we keep training sessions to? Because I don't know if it was from you or from someone else that if you train them too much, then they get like whatever, mentally exhausted or whatever, and then they don't find it enjoyable.
Right.
Do you think that's true?
So yes. So 3 to 5 minutes, real short.
Okay.
And if you see them start to tank, like within 2 minutes, I would stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you always want to leave them wanting more.
Yeah.
And
I think it was you that told us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ideally, before you're working around his meal times, you can even make his meal times his training times if he's got enough drive for his food.
Yeah.
So he's not getting all these extra calories.
Mm-hmm.
And two to three times a day, 3 to 5 minutes, keeping it super short, and just kind of having your focuses. Whether it's going to be advancing one thing, or if it's going to be just rehearsing a number of things just to teach them what the options are.
Yeah.
Okay. At the end of the day, you're not going to screw your dog up with food-based training. So don't get because I get people that they get really worried about that. And I'm like, trust me, I'm like, if there's a method that's going to screw up your dog, it's not food. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for anything that you'd like to see again, you reinforce with food. Okay. So like what we want to start doing is how do we apply this to Theo to make him a well-mannered dog? Mm-hmm. And let's say when you go get his leash to walk him and he's jumping, I can use that as a moment to train him to sit, right? But I wouldn't say sit. I would just get a treat, lure him into the position, clip him with the leash, and then once that's done, then I would feed him. So then he thinks if I put my butt down and I let him do this business with the leash, I'll get something.
Yeah. And
you're creating habit. Okay. And I have a PDF file that I'll send to you. I just found it for a friend of mine, just got a puppy. And, they asked me for some info and I forgot I had it. So I'll send it to you. It's called the Learn to Earn program.
Cool.
Okay. And it's, you can use the dog's kibble and stuff, but you're essentially reinforcing good behaviors. Mm-hmm. Or like, whenever he puts his leash on, when he's waiting for his food, any little thing that you can use to just teach good manners is how it operates. And it's a good foundation, for puppies. So I'll send that over to you as well with these videos that I'll send you. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
I think that was good, right, Theo?
Yeah. It's simple stuff, but as you get better with it, you'll be able to do more. Okay.
And he's doing all right?
Yeah. Pretty, standard puppy. He's got good drive. And then, his food drive, it seemed good. Like he seemed very excited for it, but then it seemed to kind of dip a bit. Did he eat this morning?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. That's probably why.
8 or so.
Yeah. That's possibly why.
Yeah.
So to get the most out of him performance wise, just figure out what the time frames are, or use the feeding times to try to get stuff done, and then feeding him whatever he doesn't finish in a session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you guys need anything else, let us know. Otherwise, I'll send you an email with all this stuff.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Theo.